Hey, hey, hey. All right. Happy Halloween. I am a Care Bear today. Thought I would put on my costume for you today. As you may or may not notice, I'm in a different space. We actually have roofers at our house. Um, they are on top of the roof today, and so it was going to be really loud. So I had to come to my mom's house, which is totally fine. I found a corner that works. It's a little sunny, a little dark on both sides, but that's right. You're just getting me today for the special edition of Mental Health Matters Halloween edition. And I wanted to share exciting things that are going on with BCC Evolution as my Care Bear. And hopefully, if you're watching this, take a picture of yourself, put it in the chat. I want to see your costume. See, I got a bear on my head. I have probably worn this costume several times over the last couple years, but it's one of my favorites. And anybody that is watching, if you can just let me know, whether it's in the comments or wherever, that you can hear me okay. Again, I'm in a different space today. I do have my headset in, but I want to make sure that you can hear me okay. And if you can't, again, just let me know, but drop it into the comments. You do have to give StreamYard permission for it to show, but if you're watching this on Facebook or watching it on LinkedIn, you can drop a comment there too. So, excited again for the special edition of Halloween Mental Health Mondays. If you are joining now, so Mental Health Mondays, we talk to guests who are professionals in the mental health space, those that live with or experience a mental health challenge, or mental health advocates. And wherever you are watching this, make sure you hit down that subscribe button, especially if you're on YouTube. Feel free to share any of the episodes that you think will help people. And then also, if you're watching this on LinkedIn or Facebook, you probably already subscribed to our page, or maybe you're watching it on public. Totally cool too. So, exciting things that I wanted to share today. This podcast is officially been launched across multiple platforms now. So if you're not a person who wants to sit here and watch this as we have conversations, you can actually go listen now. You can listen on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music and Audible, and then Anchor FM. So if you, again, don't like to watch the whole thing, I mean, it's pretty fun because I am wearing, at least today, my Care Bear outfit, and you can see what is happening. And we can all be bears together if I can get this to go on my head right. I don't know, but so sometimes it is kind of fun to be able to watch. However, if you like to listen more, excuse me, I have launched this on all or across all of those platforms, which is really, really exciting. What that means is that we are going to get even more people listening and or watching the podcast, which is really incredible because if you've been watching this for a really long time, you know the caliber of the guests that I have had. Some of those guests that do come on said that they specifically chose this one for the format that we do, which is really, really exciting. So, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have your costume on for Halloween. Again, I would love to see your costume. If you want to take a picture, drop it in the comments, whether you're watching this on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, and let's see your Halloween costumes. And again, you can go listen on seven different platforms now. And cool part is all of these episodes are now on the BCC Evolution website. So you can actually go over there too and click on Mental Health Mondays, which is under resources, and watch them there too. So those are the exciting things that I wanted to share. But this special Halloween edition, I did have a guest scheduled. However, unfortunately, they had some life circumstances come up and they weren't able to join, which is totally fine. Life happens, right? Like that's why I do what I do, is because we all go through challenges and we all go through struggles. And really, this is a safe space. And if my guests are not able to come on last minute, I totally understand. And so now you get me today, which I think is cool. I don't know. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But what I want to talk about is Halloween and holidays. So, this is one of the first, well, I guess, going into the holidays. And oftentimes, the holidays can be really challenging for people that have lost somebody, those that have potentially been diagnosed or, um, diagnosed with a mental health challenge, are having suicidal thoughts, those even diagnosed with another illness or disease like cancer or something else like that. The holidays can be a really, really hard time because potentially facing your family can feel really, really challenging. And Halloween is one of those that maybe you have social anxiety and you're like, one, I don't want to give out candy to a bunch of kids. Two, I don't want to see people, which is great. The at least the tradition in America is if you turn off your light, people won't bother you. So you can be that hermit if you choose on Halloween. However, you'll probably still hear people out and about, and maybe your social anxiety holds you back from doing anything. Or maybe you're just so tired and so overwhelmed with what's happening in life. And I want you to know that that is completely normal. You are not abnormal. What we say in the mental health space is if these feelings last for more than 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks consecutively, then it's time to really go search out and talk to somebody. Because when you have those extended periods of whether it be depression or anxiety, it could be the social anxiety, whatever that might be, if you have them for an extended time, that's really when you want to seek out whether it's professional or holistic, or maybe there's a coach out there that you really trust and excuse me, and or you've been following that you're like, "Hey, I really wanna reach out to this person and talk to them." Now's the time before it becomes that extended period. And maybe you're somebody who you've experienced social anxiety for your whole life. What's the root cause of that? Do you know where it's come from? Do you know where it was triggered? Maybe it has something to do with generations before you. Maybe it's not even yours and you need to release it. That actually happens too. And so normally there is something underlying underneath these symptoms or these illnesses or dis-ease that show up in our body. And so looking at that underlying issue can be really, really helpful. Unless you like it. There's that side too. If you're like, you know, I don't really like people and I don't really care to be social, that's okay too. I mean, you do you. And I just want you to feel as comfortable as possible. And those that may be going into this holiday season and you feel like you're really, really struggling. It could be personally, it could be professionally, it could be mentally, physically, emotionally, right? There's so many different ways that we struggle in life. And if you are one that is like, man, I can't even imagine going into this holiday season. Like, I'm gonna have to socialize with my family. I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do that. And it starts feeling really, really overwhelming. I want you to know that you're not alone out there. There are people like myself and the people that BCC Evolution partners with that can help you overcome or at least move through these feelings. And I think that's pretty cool when you can actually know that somebody's out there that can help you. what we have been doing, and I alluded to it, I think, last week, because last week was the very first that we did our circles. It's basically a platform where you can come on and you can be anonymous. You can come up with your own nickname. You can be whoever you want for the day. I don't know, my my alter ego used to be Sammy J. I don't know where I got that, where it came from, but I know with my Spotify account, I had actually named it Sammy J, and that was my alter ego. So you could totally, it's like Beyonce, or Sasha Fierce. Those are your alter egos. And you can come into the circles um, room and be your alter ego. You could either share your journey or not share your journey. But ultimately, our room is called Never Alone, Travel Through Grief and Loss. And really, it's a place, it was rewind. My brain is going too fast for my mouth. Last week was really incredible. Why? Because I was able to support and hold a really safe space for people to share whatever they're going through, if it's related to grief or loss or mental health or trauma or whatever it might be. And I was really surprised the amount of people that we actually had in the room for the very first week. And I was really surprised at the people that wanted to share. I don't claim to know everything. I really go based off of my experience with the loss of my sister. I have been through lots of trauma throughout my life. After I wrote a um, a story for our Breaking the Cycle of Trauma Master Education program, I filmed myself just taking the journey through what I've been through in my life. And after I was done, I was like, dang, like that's a lot. That's a lot for a person to go through. But I know that my experience is very different than your experience, and we all experience things differently. And so that's where we just have these open, honest conversations. And if I can help you, great. Or maybe just talking is what you need. And that was the really cool part, is that you can come in, you can just talk, you can listen, you don't even have to talk. And maybe what we say or the conversation that another person and I have helps you in some way. So that was what was really, really cool last week. And it's called Circles. I will be dropping a link here shortly on the Facebook page, the LinkedIn page, wherever you follow us, so that you can. I was going to do it before this, but I was trying to find a corner in the house to actually do this live. So I will drop that for you, and you can join us after this. It is at 12:30 Mountain Standard Time. So in about an hour and 45 minutes ish, and we just continue the conversation about mental health, grief, loss, whatever you want to bring to the table. And we had 6 positive reviews last week, which was awesome for the very first circles that we did. So, if you want to continue this conversation after this, join us in circles, and I will drop that into all of our social media channels, and you can find and connect into our room. It's free to sign up. And again, you can be anonymous. So, that's something really, really cool going on with BCC Evolution. We are giving 2 opportunities every single Monday to continue the conversation here on Mental Health Mondays with our guests, usually, for them to share in this safe space and also give you back resources, tips, tools, tricks, all of those great things on this podcast. And then also that second space, which will be circles, and it's going to be every single Monday for however long, at 12:30 Mountain Standard Time, or yeah, Mountain Standard Time. So 2:30 Eastern, um, 11:30 Pacific, and 1:30 Central. I'm like, man, I don't know. So that's a really cool place that you can continue the conversation. Another really cool thing that is coming up is I am officially launching a master class called Re-engage Resilience. What the heck does that mean? Well, did you know that we are all born resilient? Babies are born with resilience. We are all born with resilience. However, over time, through our patterns, our beliefs, our thoughts, what happens to us within life, whether it's a trauma or something else that happens, we sometimes lose the resilience. We also lose wanting to take care of ourselves. Maybe we become moms, maybe we become dads, maybe we um, become pet parents, right? Like we start taking on these new identities that are not ourself. And when we can come back and re engage our resilience, it can be really, really important. It's like we talk about, and I know I've said this on other mental health Mondays, but it's when we go onto a plane, they tell us to put our oxygen mask on first because we aren't going to be able to help anybody else if we can't breathe ourselves. And that's why self-care is so important, is because if we're not taking care of ourselves, then we can't take care of others. And that's where this masterclass comes in, is we're re-engaging the resilience and we're learning how to take care of ourselves. Because being selfish is actually a good thing, especially when we talk about self-care. And I've had a lot of people over time that have said, I want to take one of your classes so bad, but honestly, I don't want to sit there for 6 to 8 hours. I'm really sorry, Kelly. I like you. I think you're awesome. I'm pretty sure your classes are great, but I don't have 6 to 8 hours that I can spend, whether it be on a weekday or a weekend, to take one of your mental health first aid classes or your breaking the cycle of trauma classes. I would love to have just like a snippet of what you do. And so that's why this is being created, because this is going to give you a snippet behind the scenes of how to take care of yourself. And you'll actually get one of the tools within this masterclass that we give in the Breaking the Cycle of Trauma masterclass. And that is a personal safety and self care plan. If you don't have a self care or personal safety plan, it is really important to have one of those. And so this will give us a chance to touch on how we really build that and how we rebuild or re engage our resilience within ourselves so that we can put our own oxygen mask on first before we help others. And I don't know about you, but I tend to be very much of a giver. I give and 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 give. But I have a hard time receiving. And I have a hard time letting things in. And I know that about myself because I'm very much of a giver. But I've had to shift my mindset to really start allowing receiving. If I can receive, then I can give more. And how cool is that? That's pretty cool. It's also really powerful. It's powerful to learn how to receive. I actually had one of my training mates recently in the NLP trainers and consultant certification that I just went through last month. She said to me, because we had a whole conversation about receiving, and she said, put it in your receiving bucket. And if you haven't read the book, How Full Is Your Bucket? I don't know. Probably should have got these stats right. But again, this is not about perfection. It's just about getting the information out there. But there's a book, and I usually have it right behind me at my desk, but I'm not at my desk today. So how full is your bucket, I think is what it's called. But ultimately, how do we fill our buckets? We all have our little bucket, and self-care is part of that bucket. And so I now have a receiving bucket. And so every time I receive, I store things into my receiving bucket and I take it in and I put it in my bucket. And I try to think of those little moments, the small moments. And I'm like, oh, this is something that I'm receiving. Put it in my bucket. And as I pile those things up into my bucket, it feels really good because once I fill up my bucket, it can start to overflow. And now I can start giving. I can start giving more. And that feels really, really good. So I'm curious, what kind of buckets do you have? Do you have just your self bucket? Like, I'm going to fill up my bucket all about myself. Do I have my receiving bucket that I'm receiving? Do I have my family bucket that I need to fill up? Do I have my money bucket? Everybody's got to have a money bucket, right? Do I have my money bucket that I'm filling up? What are your buckets that you fill up? Or have you ever thought of it that way? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I don't know. But how cool would that be to start thinking about this in your daily life? How do I fill up my bucket or my buckets? Because once I fill one up, that means that it's going to overflow and I can start giving back. But how does that look? And as a founder of a nonprofit, of course, the reason that I started this was because I wanted to give. I have a really giving heart. I'm a helper. That's what I do. I help people. But sometimes I don't help myself. And that can be really hard because I have to be able to help myself to be able to help others. And if I don't take care of myself, then what's the point? So that's where all of this comes in. And this re-engage resilience masterclass that we're going to do on November 22nd. It's 12/22/22. Yes, I know it is a few days before Thanksgiving, but what a better time to give thanks to ourselves. Put our own oxygen mask on. Fill up our buckets. Before we have to go, not have to, before we get a chance to go spend time with our families, if we have families to spend time with. Or maybe you have a Friendsgiving. Or maybe you just give thanks to yourself. Wherever you are, whichever one of those you are, that's up to you. And that's okay. But we are going to do it on 11/22/22. And this might be absolutely bonkers of me to do, but it is only going to be $22.22 for those that want to join this masterclass. I will tell you, our mental health first aid classes per participant is $147. Our breaking the cycle of trauma for participants is $247. And this masterclass is valued well over $100. But I'm going to do it for this one time for $22.22. Those are lucky numbers, if you didn't know that. But there's only 100 spots to join this masterclass. And it's going to be a 2-hour class, so you don't have to spend 6 to 8 hours with me. It's going to be a 2-hour class. Do you get the theme here? The twos? The twos are guardian angel numbers, and I've been seeing them a lot. So that's why I decided to do this masterclass. And it's for anybody who feels like they need to take care of themselves first. Or maybe you want to just learn how to fill up those buckets. You want to learn how to re-engage the resilience that you were born with. Because the stronger that you can be yourself, the more you can learn how to receive, the more you can give. You can give to the world. you can give to yourself. And it's really important to be able to take care of yourself because you are you. And what is your identity now? Are you mom? Are you dad? Are you teacher? Are you parent? Are you healthcare professional? Are you military? What are you? What do you identify with? Whatever it is, that's great. Are you a bear? I don't know about you, but I like bears. And this is actually a good reminder for my sister. She was our bear lover of our family. And so that's why I really like the Care Bears. But whatever you are is perfect. But you are you. And how do you come back to self? Whatever that means to you. So I will drop all of the information. I'm going to drop the circles information. I'm going to drop the masterclass information into Facebook, Instagram. I'll drop it on Twitter. Why not? Maybe TikTok. I don't know, wherever we are, LinkedIn. I'll drop it all on there and you can join us. Or feel free to share this with anybody that you think needs a little reminder about how to re-engage their resilience and come back to self, to be whole and have more choice in your life. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I think so. So share this and drop your comments with your Halloween costumes if you wear one today or this weekend or whatever it might be. I would love to see your costumes. And again, I just really appreciate you all watching. I hope this information is useful for you. But as a reminder, you now have multiple ways that you can listen and watch Mental Health Mondays podcast show. That's what I'm calling it because it's a show and it's a podcast. You can watch it, you can listen, but you can watch it on Spotify or listen, watch. You can listen on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible, Anchor FM, and you can watch it on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on the BCC Evolution page under resources. Because what we do every single Mental Health Monday is we bring on guests who are either professionals in the mental health space, those that are advocates for mental health, or those with lived experience with a mental health challenge. And you can always be a guest on our show too. So if you feel like you want to share your journey, come be a guest. All the information is down below. It's in the comments. So you can be a guest. I think we're booked through mid-December at this point. But reach out. Let me know you want to be a guest. I feel like my ears are all the ears. If you want to be a guest, come on the show. I would love to have you and share your story. And if you haven't watched any of the other episodes, please go back and watch because I promise you it's pretty cool how all of the guests keep kind of like melting is the word that's coming to my head, but melting into each other. And it's really cool how you can showcase people, their resources, what they do, why they got into the profession that they do now. And ultimately, it provides a space for you to get the tips, the tricks, the ideas centered around mental health and suicide awareness. And as always, please join us every single Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's usually 11:05-ish that I jump on here where I have guests. And then also, as a reminder, BCC Evolution is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So we need your help. Go sign up to become a warrior for mental health today. With only a $20 donation or more per month, you actually get one of our really cool, I don't have it on today, but one of our Warrior for Mental Health t-shirts. And you can also get a tumbler with only $45 or more per month. And all of those funds go back to mental health education. One last thing, because this is something on my mind, and I saw it. There was a commercial that came on for one of the car commercials for Drive Time, I think it is. They so the license plates, they do the drive pink, right? So they have donated about $30 million to cancer research. And I'm not saying anything, but what I would say is, why haven't we found a cure yet? There's been a lot of money going into cancer research. Where's the cure? My personal opinion. Second thing is that with $30,000, BCC Evolution could train 204,000 people. 204,000 people. It's a little over that, actually. But with $30,000, BCC Evolution could train 304. Wait, what was it? Let me get the numbers right. At least I can get this part right. All right. Yes. So with $30 million, BCC Evolution could train 204,081 people in mental health first aid training. That's a lot of people. Like, fully sponsor, 100% sponsor communities around the US and train that many people. Do you know what our vision is? Our vision is to educate 1 million people by 2030. Just think about that. Just a number that I saw the other day, and I was like, man, we could educate so many people with that amount of money. That's why this is so important. How many lives could we save by getting people educated about mental health and suicide so that they knew what to do when somebody starts showing the signs or tells you their symptoms or comes up to you and says that they're having suicidal thoughts? How many lives could we change or save by giving a little hand to the mental health world, which is completely inundated currently, and putting everyday people in that gap between when somebody either starts showing signs or symptoms of a mental health challenge up to the point that they can actually get professional help? Because early intervention is critical. And if I am that person that is here because I know and I'm educated and I can recognize the signs and symptoms for a mental health challenge, to get this person into a professional and or holistic or whomever it might be, give them self-care resources to be able to help them so that it doesn't get worse. Because this gap can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 years. 3 years. Could you imagine waiting 3 years to get the help that you need today? They're not gonna live through that gap. That's why it's so important for us to have feet on the ground, everyday people that can assist those in need with a mental health challenge if they present the signs, or know how to have the hard conversations about suicide before they complete. I wish I had those skills before my sister did, but I didn't. And you know what? That's okay. I learned, and that's what I've been doing, is gaining as much knowledge as I possibly can over the past 5.5 years, because it matters. You matter. We all matter. And how do we make people feel less alone? We actually ask the question. We ask questions that are going to get the response that we need, and we get educated about how to ask those questions. Because the last thing that I would want to happen is you regret that you didn't get educated, like I did at one point. But I can't live in the hoodoo voodoo weedoo shoulda coulda wouldas, as I call them. I choose to live in the space of understanding now and using those tools, the resources, the education to be able to teach others to understand this space better, because early intervention is critical. As with all mental health challenges, recovery is possible, and we need to give hope to people that feel alone and let them know that recovery is possible. And did you also know that suicidal thoughts are very time limited? That means that there's only a short window when you actually are actively suicidal. And so if I am that person that can fit that small space, because I know how to ask you the questions of, are you going to kill yourself? Are you thinking about suicide? And I'm not scared to know what the answer is, because I know what to do with that information. Isn't that cool that we can actually put everyday people like you and I in that space? And I can teach you how to gain those tools, those resources, those skills to be able to talk to people and have the hard conversations. I totally went off on a tangent, but I want you to understand how important the work that BCC Evolution is doing, but we can't do that without funding. So that's why we need your help, is so that we can get people educated about mental health and suicide, so that we can alleviate a little bit of that pressure off of the mental health professional world and teach everyday people how to assist those in need, because they know how to recognize, they know how to assist, and they know how to identify a mental health challenge before it gets worse. Because nobody likes to ask for help. I don't know. I don't. I am one of those people. But I have to remember that I can ask for help. And I've designed my own safety and self care plan. I know who my people are. I know what makes me happy. I know what I'm grateful for. And I know the National Suicide Hotline number, 988. I know the crisis text line. I have lots of resources just in case I ever get to that place that is the bottom of the bottom. And I know how to get out of that space. And that's why it's so important to take these classes and to really understand. It's also important to have your own safety and self-care plan, because you never know when you're going to need it. You also don't know if maybe there's one day that you need to offer that support to somebody else. And I can teach you those really cool, important life-saving skills. So come spend only 2 hours with me on November 22nd. We're going to do it. Here comes the numbers again, but it'll be at 12:22 on 12/22. And that's Mountain Standard Time. So I'm sorry about the rest of you that are in different time zones, but I'm in Colorado, and we're going to do it on 12/22 at 12:22 p.m. And it's only $22.22 for you to come join my masterclass and learn a little bit about mental health, self-care, how to re-engage your resilience that you were born with. And I hope to see you all there. But I hope this helped. And I want you to join me either after this for our circles. Again, I'll drop all those links across all of our socials, or join us back next Monday. I do have a guest set up for next Monday and for a while. So come be a guest. Come watch again. And I will see you back here next Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Happy Halloween, y'all. Bye.